Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You can be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing just cool things for anybody living in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, it's the homeless, work with Alzheimer's, financial literacy, arts. Big cause. They're going to be involved. Honored to have in the studio with us today our friends from Nature Collective. We got Jennifer Bright, the CEO, joined by a board member, Kendra Muller. How you doing, Jennifer and Kendra? Good?
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having us here this morning.
Absolutely. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, in her 4th year co-hosting the Spotlight on the Community Show. Just certainly doing wonderful stuff to elevate our show. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. And Kristen, I know you have a question for Jennifer right out of the gate.
Yeah, let's just get into it. So for those that don't know what the organization does, can you give us your mission and kind of a brief overview?
Sure. We are a science and conservation education leader in San Diego County. We do a lot of our work in the San Elijo Lagoon area, which is in the North County. We have a variety of specific programs that we offer, conservation education, working with K through 12 students, as well as water quality monitoring and habitat restoration.
Very nice.
So you've always been interested in this? When you were little, I want to be in science, I want to be in nature, or there was an epiphany that happened later in life? Talk about that. Sure.
Well, I was fortunate. I grew up in Maine, and I had a very adventurous uncle who would take me on camping trips and hiking trips. And at the age of 11, I actually hiked Mount Katahdin, which is about a 5,000-foot elevation in Maine. And it's a pretty strenuous hike for that age, but I always found myself out in nature. And I actually, in the 6th grade, wrote a letter to the governor after winning a science project about acid rain and how important it was to stop rain. And actually, I bring that up with our interns today and bring that letter in because I still have it. It's one of my prized possessions. Yeah.
That's great.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world. How about you, Kendra? What has been your interest in nature? It always been there or something new?
Absolutely. So, like Jennifer, I did do a lot of hiking when I was younger. I got paralyzed at about 14, and now I do a lot of adaptive hiking with my wheelchair.
Nice.
Done a lot of pretty exciting hikes. Me and my partner have gone down into the Kilauea volcano, hiked the Athabasca Glacier, done a lot of amazing things that we're privileged to be out in nature, and hiked a lot around San Diego and really seen the beauty that is here.
What's your favorite place to hike in San Diego?
Ooh.
And that's not a fair question, I know. What are some of your favorite places to hike?
I mean, when the wildflowers come out at Sunset Cliffs, that's one of my favorite places.
Nice. Yeah. What's the highest you've hiked? Highest elevation?
Ooh, that is a great question. I think it must have been in New Zealand or Switzerland.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you hike there?
Probably Mount Plaintiff.
Okay.
I'm gonna get that wrong.
Nice. And Chris, I know nature, the outdoors, you're by Mission Trails and all that. You love to hike, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, don't ask me the elevations and things like that. Those are numbers. I don't do that. I'll be like, it was big, it was grand, it was this color. It was, so, yeah, please.
Cowles Mountain, I used to hike all the time, and it's near where you used to be over there. I think that's the highest point in the city, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
In this area. So, listen, We love talking about this, Jennifer and Kendra. We know we're in a very, very diverse bio area in San Diego, and we cannot share enough with our audience that be mindful of it, because when you lose it, you're not going to get it. Talk about how important it is, and just the rich area we live, from the water to the desert to the mountains and everything in between. Talk about that.
Well, I'll talk specifically about San Elijo Lagoon because it's one of my favorite places and where I spend a lot of time. But these facts go throughout San Diego. As you said, we're one of the most biodiverse places in the nation, for sure. At San Elijo Lagoon specifically, there's about 1,000 acres of connected open space that is part of the ecological reserve. Within that, there's approximately 1,000 species of plants and animals that call that space home. And so when you think about that and compare it to places like the rainforest, we always hear about the rainforest and the biodiversity of the rainforest. Well, when you look at 1,000 acres in a very populated area and talk about 1,000 species of plants and animals within that, it's pretty amazing. And then you add on the endangered species that call that place home. You often hear about polar bears being endangered species and some of these bigger animals throughout the world. Right in our backyard, we have these endangered species.
So how do we do in terms of preserving these wonderful, whether it's San Elijo, or it's down in the estuaries in South County, or it's in our mountain areas? We are a desert, last I checked, in this area. Do we do a pretty good job protecting these and preserving these? We can always do better. I understand it. But what do you think? Kendra, you can answer that question.
In terms of protecting and preserving, I'm not a scientist, but
Right.
I am an attorney. I'm an anti-discrimination attorney.
Okay.
We do environmental justice as well. And I think from protecting and preserving perspective, I always think about the communities that are there and how important it is to ensure that communities that weren't privileged enough to have access to nature are able to enjoy the nature and the protected areas that Nature Collective is saving and conserving. This is so important because if you don't know about nature and the endangered species, you're not going to know to protect them.
Yeah, and that gets to, I know Kristen's going to want to, sort of jump on this question as well, and that ties into education.
Yep.
And we all know that that if we don't start young or old for that matter, but especially in TK, and letting people know that, listen, if you think it's okay to walk through this field where it says don't trample on these things because this is a protected area, there's a reason why that's out there. Talk about the education aspect of it, Jennifer.
We have a fantastic education program that starts, we say K through 12, although we have lots of younger folks. TK. Lots of younger folks that come through and participate in our family days that we offer the first Sunday of every month. But we offer lots of different ways for children to connect with nature, but also to incorporate their science, technology, engineering, and math, or their STEM learning from school. So they're not just connecting, they're learning, they're going through this discovery process. They're learning to think like scientists. Why does this impact this? And so it's not us just sharing information about this, all these facts. It's about them taking the opportunity to be out in nature. We have a portion of our education program is looking at a log, and this might sound, I'm out there looking at a log. They have the opportunity to go off trail to look at a log that's decomposing and ask questions. Why is this decomposing? And they come up with the questions. Is an insect eating it? Has the elements of the area impacted this log in any way? And so it's just a really great in-depth way of having folks understand how human connections, how that log may have gotten there. Was it cut down by humans? Did it come down the waterway? And there's lots of opportunities for these children to be very inquisitive and discover and teach themselves, and sometimes teach us a lot as well.
Well, I mean, this is perfectly in Kristen's wheelhouse. Her husband works for the Fleet Science Center, obviously, and certainly this is all about science and all this. And is Declan pretty much attuned to this, or a young son?
Declan is going to be a scientist, so yeah, he would tell you this is way within his wheelhouse. Yeah.
So he loves this stuff.
Oh yeah, he loves this stuff. Which leads me to a question. Can you talk a little bit about this family day that you have on the first Sunday of the month? Is it free? Where do people go? What can they expect? I think a lot of parents, such as myself, are like, free, great learning opportunities. So shout that out, please, a little more.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's the first Sunday of every month. It's from 10 a.m. to noon. It's hosted at our San Elijo Lagoon Nature Center in partnership with San Diego Parks and Recreation. Every Sunday has a different theme. So, for example, we just wrapped one up that was all about pollinators, and so we had plants from our native plant nursery that were there. They actually had butterflies flying. There was butterflies flying around because we had the plants that most attract them, and we had caterpillars that were on the native milkweed that we actually produce at our native plant nursery. And if for those that don't know, milkweed is the preferred plant for the monarch butterfly, which is an endangered species, which is found at San Elijo.
Very nice. And I also noticed when I went on your website, which is beautiful, just the design, I was like, I love this place.
Thank you.
But there were so many good online resources for, parents, I'm sure homeschool families, supplements for schools and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about that initiative? Because I think it's so brilliant.
Absolutely. We were talking a little bit about this prior walking in, about different silos of communication. And from San Elijo Lagoon, we try to have all of our information be as accessible as possible. We try to share what we've learned with the public. So as you're mentioning, on our education website, we have, you could download an entire an entire lesson for, like you said, homeschooling or just interest, or like your son, an advocate early on, which we love. We try to not gatekeep that information, and we find we would love to have more of that collaboration across different organizations, of sharing the information and getting from A to B in a collaborative effort.
We'll come back from break. I want to talk about that collaboration as well, and certainly in how our listeners can get engaged in this. Obviously, money doesn't grow on trees, last I checked, at least, and volunteering is real critical. And wanted to also talk a little bit about the matching gift challenge, and Kristen's going to ask you about that as well. But we're always fascinated by the volunteer opportunities. When we return with our Friends of Nature Collective, we got Jennifer Bright, the CEO, joined by her board member, Kendra Muller. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. We'll be right back after this very short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Honored to have in the studio with us today friends from Nature Collective, Jennifer Bright, CEO, joined by her board member, Kendra Muller, and I'm honored to have as a co-host in her 4th year now in the Spotlight on the Community Show, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. Kristen, go fire away with other questions.
Yeah, Kendra, I wonder if you can, we've talked a little bit about this, but tell us about the committee that you co-chair for Nature Collective.
Absolutely. We have several communities within our board, but I am a part of the JEDIA community committee, Justice, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility. This is a committee that I'm very passionate about of this area, again, because there is one prong of individuals and communities interacting with nature and being educated about nature, but the second prong is that nature and environment impacts us, right? And so especially multi-marginalized communities have been historically, through redlining, through zoning, been cut off from any nature opportunities and are much more likely through decades of research to be negatively impacted by the environment that is taken away by, corporations, bad air, bad water, etc. And so this committee is really dedicated to incorporating and providing, bringing together different communities regarding nature and ensuring that the conservation of the environment that Nature Collective does is not just in a silo, but it is for the communities that we serve.
That's wonderful. What other wonderful initiatives have we not touched on yet that perhaps we should?
Well, we talked a little bit about family discovery days as being one of our free things that we offer. We offer nature guided tours and volunteer events every single month as well. So we have a discovery tour that happens the first Saturday of every month. It's volunteer led. It's somebody that's been leading that tour for years and years and is expert on all things native plants and animals. We have a wildlife tour the second Saturday of every month. And then we have an incredible group of folks that help with our habitat restoration, and they're volunteers that come in and help our professional staff remove invasive species or plant native plants. And then one of the other things is our internship program, which is a workforce development program that we offer where we have folks that are either in community college or in a 4-year college that come to us and learn about water quality, habitat restoration, land stewardship, and education. And it's a 3 or 4 month program where they leave with tangible skills to add to their resume.
That's wonderful. So many good things that you all do. Can you talk about this match that you have going on right now?
Yes, well, we recently had, as everybody may know, there's been some challenges in funding from a federal level, especially for the sciences. Yeah. That's impacted the ability to, everybody's now applying for state grant funding, and that has been extremely competitive. Yes. Example, we recently applied for a grant, 2 grants that we have traditionally been awarded. 7 to 10% of the applicants were awarded for that funding, so really, really low. So with this information, I shared it with one of our donors, and our donors said, let me give you a solution. I will match dollar for dollar up to $30,000 of any donations that come in from now until August 30th. And so that is our matching program. So now through the end of August, you have the opportunity to, if you donate $5, it'll be $10. If you donate $100, it'll be $200. So a great way to help us get to the goals that we need to, especially in a time where grant funding and state funding and federal funding is definitely not coming our way.
Yeah.
So do they go right to the website and just hit the match and put your credit card in or whatever the case may be?
Exactly. That's
Okay.
the easiest way to do it. Our website
Okay.
is naturecollective.org.
Right.
There's a donate page there. Yeah.
How close are you to the 30,000? You get in there?
We are getting there. Yes, we
Okay.
had some. We're actually just there. We probably have about $3,000 to go.
Well,
So
we're
yeah,
going to get it before the end of the show. I think in this aspect of it, we're chatting with Jennifer Bright, CEO of the Nature Collective, joined by her board member, Kendra Muller. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Is there a certain aspect of nature, and of course we want to preserve all aspects of nature, I get that, but is there one that seems to be in more trouble, or this is whether it's the beach erosion or maybe it's something else, I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is an area where we need to pay attention to quite a bit. Is there one that jumps out at you, or not necessarily?
Well, I think one of the things that we try to focus on is not only protecting the environment, but also making sure that people have access to the spaces that we protect. And that's very important to be able to fall in love with nature, to be able to protect it, to be able to go to the voting booths, et cetera. And so Kendra's actually had the lead in helping us with some of the things that we've done to make these trails more accessible, both at San Elijo Lagoon and California State Park-wise. You want to chat a little bit about that?
Yes, so we've definitely throughout, especially the San Elijo, when we were building it and making it larger, more accessible for everyone, Nature Collective actually came to me and realized off the bat that it would be great to interact and include anybody with a disability into this nature more wholly. So there's been better trails created. They've been very meticulous about asking disabled people what they would like to see. You've done ASL tours. You've done a lot of things to try and be more inclusive about these interactions with the environment, which is so important. We've also done interactions and collaborations with LGBTQ groups,
Right.
which has been really wonderful and something that I am proud of, as well as going broad, going statewide. So we helped advocate for increased inclusion into our state parks last year, because again, that is our mission, nature for all.
You were talking about earlier, Jennifer, certainly there are a lot of jobs that can be tied into nature. We love, Kristen and I talking about, you look at a field, and you don't necessarily have to be a scientist to get involved with Nature Collective, and you have volunteers, people doing X, Y, and Z in this area. And I've always used the example, as Kristen has heard before, when I worked for the Union Tribune, back in the heyday, we had about, I think, 2,400 employees or something to that effect. But only 1/8 of them were writers. 7/8 of the people that worked for a newspaper did things other than write, for the paper.
Yeah.
And the same thing, when you talk about, with Nature Collective, listen, I want to get involved in this, but, I don't know, anything about science. There are many jobs that can go with this, correct?
Absolutely. It's so on point that you brought that up. We recently we have team meetings every single week, and we had a discussion about what brought us to Nature Collective. And our human resources manager, raised her hand after hearing everybody talking about their passion about science or their passion about nature. And she's like, well, I've always been passionate about nature. I go out and hike, but I wouldn't consider myself she's not a scientist. She's not a nature specialist. And she is part of a support system that holds up this organization from a very important people and culture component of an organization. She is one of the people that shows up, every day and gives of her knowledge and expertise. It doesn't have to be science related, but helps all of us that are in the sciences have the fuel that we need to, from a personal level, to be able to go out and do what we do. So that's just one of the examples. finance and admin. We have a fantastic accountant, is passionate about
lawyers.
Exactly. The list goes on and on. So yeah, that support system, they are often undercredited, quite honestly. They hold up every single nonprofit organization in such a way that you couldn't do what you do without having that base and platform.
And the reason why I like saying this, I love music, okay? As Kristen knows, I can't sing a note, I can't play a note, I can't do anything in that aspect of it. But if I thought, that I could not get engaged with it because I can't do all that, listen, there's many other ways you can work on that, whether you're doing PR or whatever the case may be. And the same thing with Nature Collective. What can our listeners do? We have about a minute or so to go to support you folks. Obviously, donations are important. What else can they do?
Donations, like you said, donations are important. Coming out and helping us volunteer. It's not only an opportunity to help us achieve some of the goals we are do in regards to outreach and habitat restoration, but it also helps you find a community, which is a really awesome thing, to be able to come meet like-minded people that find nature and find themselves sometimes in nature, in just a really awesome group of people. So that's one of the things. Our tours and events are ways to learn more about why it's important to protect nature. And then, of course, when voting opportunities come about to protect open space, accessibility, education, those are always great ways to get involved.
And advocacy, which you hit right there,
Yeah.
which is so critical. Well, certainly enjoyed the conversation. Jennifer Bright, CEO of Nature Collective, joined by board member Kendra Muller, wishing you nothing but just great success moving forward. This won't be the last time we'll have you back on. We'll come in a few months down the road and see how things are going. If we can continue to shout out that $30,000 match. Okay, folks, you got till the end of August to do that. And Kristen Fogel, as always, thank you for being a co-host of these shows. You still enjoying this, I hope?
I do. I love it.
I really appreciate it. I'm honored to have you that, and to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview with Nature Collective.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.